So I said one of the types of the IDS is behavioral based. And what's interesting is if you know the history of this type of technology, that's the type we started with. IDS was built within the government to be able to watch for not attacks, but users misusing resources. So when the first one was built, it was mainly to watch the government employees using a specific system to make sure they weren't doing stuff that they weren't supposed to be doing. And then that technology grew and was integrated within more of the security industry, so we're looking for specific attacks. Now, like I said, then the behavioral based, you're actually going to put the product in a learning mode, and it's going to understand or listen and watch all the different types of protocols that are coming through: TCP, UDP, ICMP, routing protocols, and it'll create this profile. Now, one thing you need to make sure is that there's no attack going on when you're building this profile, which has happened. So if you are, let's say you have this in learning mode, and actually you have a system that's going under attack, the IDS is going to capture that and consider that normal. So whenever this attack or this type of attack happens again, you won't be alerted because it's in the profile as a normal thing. So that's one thing to understand, is when you're putting it into a learning mode, that nothing suspicious is taking place on the network at the time. Now, something else that behavioral based can do is detect the attacks that are trying to stay under the radar. You know, a lot of attacks are very noisy, and that's because you use specific tools. If you're doing things that IDSs should be able to detect. You know, the fragment attacks that we'll look at, or ping of death, or denial of service, or these things are very what's called noisy because they bring attention to themselves. And then there's other attacks that are very quiet, that stay under the radar. And I've done assessments where we had to look, basically the customer didn't know that we were carrying out an assessment. And we were testing not only being able to break into the environment, but we were also testing the security team, their reaction to certain type of anomalies or situations that were taking place on their network. So in those types, it's called a stealth attack or stealth assessment. And so you send like one packet at a time, or maybe a couple packets at a time. It's very slow and it takes a long time, but you're going under the radar. And that's what a lot of attackers are trying to do right now, is, of course, not get caught by the IDS. So this is something that the behavioral may be able to detect compared to a signature-based IDS.